Morning, Frontline Church. Today's reading text is from John chapter 9, verses 35 to 41. And it is the final part in the story of Jesus healing the man who was born blind. And in this passage, we see that the blind man responds to Jesus with love and affection and worship. And it's contrasted with the way that the Pharisees respond to him. And I think it's important that we have understand that these two different sets of people are approaching Jesus from really different places. This man has been born blind, and in his culture at that time, that was seen as a response to sin, that if your parents had sinned, then you were born blind. So he would have lived his life as an outcast, really. And when Jesus comes to him and heals him, he obviously is full of love and appreciation. And Jesus says to him who he is. He says, "I'm the Son of Man." And he asks if he's going to believe in him. And this man says yes. And he falls on his knees and worships Jesus. And I love that he has that heart of humility, that heart that understood immediately that he couldn't save himself. He couldn't heal himself. He couldn't bring himself closer to God. He needed somebody to do that for him, and that person was Jesus. And in contrast to that, we have the Pharisees. The Pharisees who are people who understand the scriptures and they understand the law, and they spend a huge amount of time studying it. I think it's important to note that they knew that healing somebody who'd been born blind was one of the signs of the Messiah. And even in knowing that, they really struggled to see Jesus for who he is. And we read in verse 39, it says, "Then Jesus told him, 'I entered this world to render judgment, to give sight to the blind, and to show those who think they see that they are blind.'" And he's not talking about physical blindness, although of course he has done that. He has given the blind man his sight. But he's talking about the difference between those of us with open hearts that are ready to hear from him, and those of us who are closed off and struggle to hear and see him for who he really is. And when I was thinking about this idea of bringing sight and how light does that, and that Jesus is the light of the world. And to the man who was blind, that's exactly what he was. He was a welcome presence of light and warmth, lighting the path on the way that he wanted to go. But the Pharisees' experience was quite different. Theirs was more of the sort of light that you'd get if you've sort of looked up into the sun at midday, a light that was blinding. Because despite all of their learning and all of their knowledge and all of their information, they clung to that so tightly, they thought so highly of it, that they were unable to see the truth of who Jesus was. Their eyes were blinded to the Messiah that was stood right in front of them. And I think when we think about how that impacts us in our own lives, I think sometimes we can be like the Pharisees. Sometimes God is trying to teach us something new, show us a new way of doing something, give us new wisdom, new insight. And we sometimes are too proud to turn around and say to him, "Actually, I don't know the way to go and I need your help. I don't know the right path to take and I need your wisdom." So I really encourage you just to spend some time reflecting, checking our hearts and figuring out, what is it that God's saying to me in this? Is there a space where I might need to put down some of those proud thoughts and open my heart humbly to Jesus, knowing that he really is the way, the truth and the life, and that he is our way to the Father? Have a blessed day.